Once considered the black sheep of Harley-Davidson's touring lineup, the Road Glide was often overlooked in favor of its Batwing sibling, the Street Glide. Back then, it attracted only the most dedicated riders. Fast forward to today, and the Road Glide's become the top-selling touring model. So how did this happen exactly? The Road Glide first appeared in 1998, but its lineage dates back to 1979 with the introduction of the 1980 Tour Glide. This was the first Harley to feature a frame-mounted fairing, marking a departure from the traditional fork-mounted fairings found on models like the Electra Glide. This innovation improved stability, handling, especially at high speeds. The original Tour Glide was powered by a shovel head engine, with the distinctive shark nose fairing becoming the hallmark of the Tour Glide. This design was polarizing among riders at the time. Some loved its stability, while others preferred the traditional look of the Batwing fork-mounted fairing. And I would say that continued until the introduction of the 2015 Road Glide, when things started to change. When that bike was introduced, the club-style Dyna craze was just hitting its stride, and the idea of performance Harleys was just beginning to take shape. The next logical step was to apply this performance mindset to the touring platform, giving rise to a burgeoning performance bagger scene. However, it wasn't until the launch of the King of the Baggers series in 2020 that this movement truly began to pick up steam. Suddenly, everyone saw the true potential of the touring platform, with Road Glides being the preferred bike of top racers riding Harleys, and the Indian riders the Challenger, which is another frame-mounted motorcycle. Over the next few years, the Road Glide surpassed the Street Glide in popularity, and the performance bagger subculture went mainstream. Harley even made a sport touring version with more power, taller suspension, and flat bags, to give the bike better handling and lean angle, giving enthusiasts a better starting point to create their own stylized versions of the baggers they were seeing on track. And this brings us to 2024. And the changes brought to the new Street Glide and Road Glide reflect these expectations customers are looking for. Not only are they looking for a comfortable bike for long hauls, but they also want to be able to carve the twisties and pretend to be Kyle Wyman. The obvious place to start is the bodywork, because it's the most striking. The new shark nose is a little less aquatic. It has a sharper, more aggressive look with integrated turn signals, flanking a single large headlight now. But the loss of the iconic dual headlight will definitely sadden purists, including myself. But at least we now have LEDs all the way around. The tank retains its 6-gallon size, but is now shaped with horizontal lines, giving it a longer, leaner, and three-dimensional look. The rear saddlebags follow through with the edgy look, with intricate shapes increasing the previous model's capacity. Here we can really see the influence of the stunt racing scenes, with its high perch and trailing edge being cut off like you see on stunt baggers. All of this isn't just for looks. Harley used computational fluid dynamics to improve the aerodynamics, incorporating new adjustable center and side vents, which I can tell you really helps with directing the air where you need it, or eliminating buffeting at high speeds. This of course depends on the height of the rider and the helmet you wear. For my average size, the fairing cut the wind and gave me a nice comfortable pocket to sit in. Exclusive to the 2024 Street Glide and Road Glide is the new and improved Milwaukee 8117 engine. Without getting too technical, let me just tell you that she really does pull hard. This engine has a new intake, new cylinder head design, increasing the compression ratio, the fuel economy, the torque. It also has a new cooling system for the valve area, where the coolant runs now to the rear cylinder first instead of the old parallel system, which makes a heck of a lot more sense since the rear cylinder gets hotter with less air hitting it. I really didn't feel any excessive heat coming from the engine while stuck in traffic, thanks in part to the radiator fan, which now directs heat under the bike. The first thing you notice taking the bike off the kickstand is just how much lighter it is. They say the Road Glide is 16 pounds lighter, which may not sound like a lot, but if you consider carrying a 20-pound bag of rice, it kind of puts things into perspective. While there is weight savings all over the bike, the two main areas are the tank, where they use a lighter gauge steel to save 2 pounds, and they also save 7 pounds using liquid aluminum forging for the triple clamp. Now, saving this weight up high means you have a bike that has a lower center of gravity and performs way better in all situations. You really feel it when you flick the bike into corners, under heavy braking, acceleration. Heck, you even feel it when you're moving the bike around the garage. Speaking of handling, we have new components here as well. The shocks are again Showa emulsion suspension, but now have 3 inches of suspension travel versus last year's 2. The right side now has a collar style adjustment to dial in the main preload, and on the left side you have the familiar hand adjustable hydraulic knob where you can add an additional 100 pounds of preload. Up front you still have the same show a dual bending valve technology, but it's been retuned to account for the new rear shock. I really do enjoy the new suspension when it comes to pushing the bike really hard. There's no nose diving under heavy braking or that old school Harley wobble when hitting big bumps and corners. I do find it a little bit stiff, but I can play with the preload a little bit more and maybe I can dial that out. So for stopping power, I was actually really surprised how good they were on this bike. The only change has been that the front rotor has been upgraded to 320 millimeter from 300 millimeter, but the difference is actually very, very noticeable. They're definitely the best brakes I've felt on any conventional Harley-Davidson. I don't know if you can consider the Pan America conventional, so the brakes are maybe a little better on that, but these brakes are really, really, really good. And another small addition that's really nice is that it now has an adjustable brake lever. My biggest complaint on the old Road Glide was the wheelbarrow bars that it came with. You had no feeling in the steering whatsoever, and you completely felt disconnected. You really, really, really had to change the bars. So Harley has finally listened and gave us better bars. Your hands are now straight, they're at a good height, you're in a good attack position so that you can better manhandle the bike. But I did find them a little bit too wide for me. I'm sure other people will find it perfect, but that's another cool thing about this bike is that you no longer have to completely remove that entire gauge cluster just to change bars. So now changing bars has become super, super easy on the Road Glide. Harley also reshaped the seat, claiming it puts you in a better riding position, but whatever they did doesn't work for me at all. Like the bars, this is a personal preference thing. What might work for one person may not work for another. And I'm sure people will love the new seat, but for me, after a full day of riding, I was in so much pain. So anyways, let's talk about tech now. The crown jewel is the new 12.3-inch TFT screen, replacing all the analog gauges. Modern, for sure, but controversial with the old school. Not everyone is happy with that, but I'm personally all for it. I love tech. The screen is big, it's bright, it displays all the information that you need. You have 3 display modes, and the GPS is cleverly integrated into all the different modes. And if you have a Bluetooth communication device, like a Cardo or a Sena, you can activate Apple CarPlay. Unfortunately, there is no native Android support, but this isn't exactly Harley's fault. Google has ended, from what I understand, they've ended motorcycle support in general. But if you do search the internet, there is ways around the Android Auto situation. I found the menus to be easy to navigate, and the connectivity to the headset and the phone was flawless for the short time that I got to ride it. My only complaint is the boot up time. The gauges and the ability to get the bike going quick is fine, but the main menu system takes forever to load up. That's kind of baffling to me, and I don't really get it. So hopefully Harley can update it so that it has a faster boot up. All the same rider safety features have returned, like hill keep assist, linked ABS, traction control, which has the IMU to know like your lean angle so that the bike gives you the appropriate braking and traction control. But new on this Road Glide is the new ride modes, which changes the throttle response, engine braking, ABS, traction control settings. You can even make your own custom mode by adjusting the values for each setting. And this isn't just for show either. It really, really makes a difference when you flick it between rain, road, and sport, or your custom mode. So after 3 days with this bike, from riding it to work, in the city, long distance, on the highway, and ripping it on tight corners, what does the bike actually feel like to live with? Is it better than the previous model? The short answer is yes, absolutely. But the Road Glide was my dream bike for a very, very long time. And in 2016, I bought one and I loved it. I loved the way it handled, the comfort, the way it made me feel. I felt cool riding the bike, and I love that it was the ugly stepchild at the time, with only like the hardcore riders opting in for the Road Glide. It's a bike truly designed for long hauls or for riders that still want to push their limits. The new bike is all that, but I don't know, something felt like it was missing. I know this is going to be controversial, thing to say, but the weight loss is kind of like a blessing and a curse. So hear me out. The new bike is quicker to swing over when you're whipping through corners, doing U-turns, and generally just cruising on the highway. It's great. But somehow that extra weight, I kind of miss it. It's not a big weight loss, but it is noticeable. And when you're pushing like the old Road Glide, that feeling of weight transfer, that pendulum effect, or while you're like railing through corners or weaving the bike through traffic, there was this feeling that you get when, you felt like the tires kind of like dig into the corners and or like that, like the bike swinging over. It just, I don't know. It's really, really hard to explain. Like, I know the new bike is better and quicker and lighter. It's just, there was something manly and satisfying pushing that weight around. I know this doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and I'm struggling to explain it myself, and I should probably be raving about how good this bike has actually become over the years. But I do love this bike, don't get me wrong. I love the new 117 engine. I love the new Skyline OS system and the Apple CarPlay integration. The suspension, I know it's stiff, but it handles generally very well. And the brakes was probably the biggest surprise for me, just like how 20 millimeters on the front brake can make such a massive difference. But after saying that, at the end of the day, I would still buy this bike over the old one. I would make some tweaks, like the bars, get something that's a little bit tighter for myself. I would definitely change the seats. I would get pipes, obviously. And I would probably get new suspension also. Although the new suspension is very, very good, we all know that there's better stuff out there, whether it be Legends or Olin's or whatever. So I think Harley's in a good place with the new Street Glide and Road Glide, and it'll be interesting to see where things go from here. We're still waiting for news on the Special, on the ST, on the Limiteds. So it'll be interesting to see what comes in the future as of 2025, maybe. I also had a chance to ride the Street Glide for 3 days, so I will be making a future video comparing the Road Glide and the new Street Glide. And I have to say that the Street Glide surprised me a lot and it's dramatically changed what I think about the Street Glide. So stay tuned for that. So if you like this video, please hit the subscribe button and we'll see you in the next one.